experience. And so I would love it, King, if you would just share a moment or two of what the swimming program has meant to you. And if you want to speak about bow ties for boys, the floor is yours. Do you remember your first experience in the pool?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about, was it exciting or nerve-wracking?
It was very exciting.
And did you take the water like a fish takes the water?
Yes.
How many lessons did you have?
A lot.
And at what point did you feel like, hey, I'm really getting the hang of this?
After a while.
And what pool, do you remember what pool you swam at, which YMCA?
Next to the public library.
In Nevada?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So that's the top YMCA. Do you still swim?
No.
But if you were in a situation that might be dangerous, would you feel confident about how to handle yourself in the water?
Yes.
And that's really the most important thing for us, is that is the first step, is to make you feel safe around the water and know how to handle yourself. And then that moves into essentially a lifetime of enjoying the experience of swimming. Can you talk to us a little bit about the bow tie for boys experience?
Bow ties for boys experience was very fun.
And what was your takeaway besides the bow tie?
We got to interact with each other and make new friends.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kate. You are a naturally born speaker. Is this your first time at a lecture talking?
Yes.
Excellent. So now the next time we do that. So we partner with 9 YMCAs throughout the state. Parents can register their youth online and choose the YMCA that they find most convenient to them, and we pay for those lessons. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our intern, Benjamin, who's been working with us all summer, to talk a little bit about the architectural aims. And if you would join us, Ben. Thank you so much.
So, yeah, I've been working with stages since last summer, but this is the first summer that I'm working on the swimming pool project. One of my first meetings, we met with Albert Garcia of Kite Architects, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight due to prior family engagement, but he counseled us on all of the challenges and unique problems that come with building a swimming pool, but also the unparalleled opportunity for community engagement that can occur from building a new swimming pool. He himself was part of the reconstruction of the Cranston Boys and Girls Club swimming pool, which had fell into disrepair due to poor management and also poor construction. So he's an expert in terms of how to build swimming pools that will last more than a lifetime, 2-3 lifetimes, and he's a great asset to us. I personally have been meeting with many aquatics directors at various universities and pools, including Brown, URI, a pool called Asphalt Green in New York that has a program that would serve as a good model for us were we to be able to finish this pool, where they take public school students. They partner with the New York public school system. Every second grader in about 15 public schools, part of their physical education curriculum is to come to the pool every week on a set time, and they get an entire semester's worth of lessons, and they've taught over 4,000 kids to swim, I believe, doing that. you know, we've also taught thousands of kids to swim, but having a place that can reliably have access and have a slot of time where people can come learn to swim, kids can come learn to swim. That doesn't exist right now in Providence, and it would be great if we could do that. Yeah, so I've basically been researching all that goes into building a swimming pool, meeting with Ray, with different members of the legislature, the city council, the mayor's office, to see how funding would work for this and which locations would be suitable. Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself, and I hope some of you guys have some comments that would be good for us, and I'll let Ray speak now.
So I want to just give a brief introduction to Ray. This is Ray's calling. This is his life's mission. He may speak to you as to why swim empowerment is so important in his work. But I will tell you from my personal standpoint that there couldn't be a better champion for young African Americans learning how to swim. If you don't know the statistic, young African Americans drown 5 times more often than their white peers. And there are many reasons for that, historic and otherwise. And so it is first and foremost essentially a health emergency that we make sure that we don't lose our young people to water accidents that are preventable. And that then, once they learn how to swim, they see the joy and the lifetime, and in many cases, the job opportunities that open up. And beyond that, the social networks that expand through a swimming pool. So, Ray.
So I try to see things through the humanities and through our humanity all the time. I think this society is in terrible trouble. It's so secular, and I'm not saying that because this is as much a meeting house as it is a church. But we in Providence live in our neighborhoods. I meet people who've never been to Wayland Square. We took 12 kids to the Risky Museum this summer. They had never been in a museum. It hurts my heart. How are you going to expand and move forward in the world and go to Yale? You're not. So I've been thinking ever since, our schools have been collapsing since I came here. And it doesn't work. I'll speak up. Our schools have been collapsing since I've come here. And it hurts me. Because that's 24,000 people being abused. People, little people. Some of them much bigger than me. But it's a sin. And I think it's a sin against nature. And then what happens when you go to a primary school? What happens? I served on the parole board, and I met 40-year-old men who left school in 5th and 6th grade. The system. You could take a 5th grader and put him in a headlock and keep him in school. The system didn't care. Did not care. So I'd be here all day. One day I want to come and give a talk. Elizabeth Francis, I want to give a 2-hour talk on what I think of here. This isn't it. So this pool is to make up for something missing in our lives. Whoever's been in the brown pool, when you go in there, you go, wow! Why? Because when you go in there, you're supposed to say, I have arrived. The first time I saw Diana Ross perform at Belle Isle Park, 180,000 people. It was a very long time before you forgot that thrill, what it did to you. And this pool is going to be the most exciting place in Providence. More exciting than the Athenaeum, more exciting than First Baptist, more exciting than anything, and of use. And for every single Providensian, rich, super middle class, lower middle class, working class, and without much income. And it's going to have a public relations arm and advertising money because you have to talk to these folks to get them to come from Silver Lake to wherever this is. Because it's in somebody else's neighborhood. And we're going to work on the design so that you feel welcome. You feel welcome. It's yours. Like going to the Lincoln Memorial. It's yours. Now that's going to require, and I actually brought myself some notes. I don't normally need notes about this. But we're going to try to make wonderful use of the land. Because quite often things are crowded in, they're not quite right, they don't rise. When you come, you will see it. It will be treed. This will not be a piece of barren land. It's going to be a swimming pool with a forest. And forests can be made. You can have 20 trees, and they're willow trees, and they go in the wind, and it's as if you had 100. So the landscape is going to be important here. The parking is going to be important. Everything you can conceive. We have 24 elements so far. And as we talk to people, we hear something we never thought about before. I'll give you an example of something. One of my favorite things in the world, and I meant to check today and see if it's still going on. Because some, you know how people do a little thing, and they say, that Rickman doesn't know what he's talking about. In Detroit, at the African American Museum, they let school kids come and open the doors. The doors are 20 feet tall, and these little first graders, it takes 8 of them on each door, and they open these brass doors. They're African. That's a word, temple. And they open it. It's an experience. And thousands of Detroit public school kids have done that. That's your museum once you open that door. And the door, and there'll be multiple doors because of fire codes, but the doors to this swimming pool will be unique and special, and you will have arrived. Now, I'm trying to deputize every single person. We're probably going to have 25 of these gatherings and meetings. The official reason is to listen to you. The secondary reason is to get you to help. We're going to ask you to talk to your councilman and your state rep and your state senator. Because the way this is to be funded is the state is to pay for 80% of it. Any addition to a public school building, the state will pay for 80%. That's 16 or 17 million dollars. The state is much richer than Providence. And then we have to worry about our other 20%. And I'm making a commitment. I believe the city will pay for that. If they do not, I will raise it. Do you know there are 233 millionaires who live in the city of Providence? And no one ever asked them for anything. If I see one more of them, I'm not going to name a school. If I see one more of them, give $10 million to that college. Pew. They never give a dime to social service agency, to a homeless shelter, to a food bank, nothing. But some of that's our fault. We don't tell you a couple other things. And again, I want you to hear me. And I'm so glad we're in this church. We were supposed to be in the meeting hall. We still did really over there. But because of an accident, we end up in this space. And we're talking about a spiritual undertaking. That's the plan of what we're doing. I was asked, and hopefully the question will be asked again, but how long is this going to take? And I have multiple answers. But it is to be a place of celebration. It is to be possibly the most exciting swimming pool in New England, if not in America. Now, it's not only so scores and scores of people can swim at the same time. It is to be so you want to be there and go there. We're going to have swimming lessons 4 and 5 times a week. Right now, we love the Y, but they like to do swimming lessons on Saturday morning at 8 because they've got to keep their pool for their paying members. They have the coolest thing in the world. That is, they're financed by their members. They don't make a dime. Let me tell you a secret. Rob and I know about 30 of these secrets. You ready? There is nothing that you know without trying to do it. Nothing. I know you meet people who, I know this, I know that. You don't know anything. When you go out into the world. So, we decided to go to the Y because you can't run a volunteer program. A young person has to go 6, 8 times. They have to go at the same time. You have to negotiate it with their mother, generally mother, sometimes father, when they can go. It cannot be changing. The volunteer cannot tell you, I gotta go to my daughter's wedding. You can't go to your daughter's wedding. You tell her to get married 2 weeks from now. So we realized volunteerism is not going to work. You pay the Ys what they do. So a year in, the Y calls me and they're very unhappy with us. First year we sent them 189 kids and we're the biggest customer. You'd think they'd be very happy. Not one's trying. The way the Y works is you go there and learn to swim and then you join. It's a middle upper class operation. And even better than that, you join for 40 years and then you die and leave them $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in the will. We can't even get one of our kids to join. An 8-year-old will never talk. And his mother's job does not pay enough to be doing a Y membership. Rent, food, gas. That's it for the kids we send. And the Y was flabbergasted that they weren't going to do the normal. Teach them to swim and then get their membership. So you're not getting any membership from our kids. And we can't raise enough money to pay membership for them. So I've been having this mild headache for 6 years. And then I said, I keep thinking we need to raise the hundreds of dollars a year for membership for our 2,500 alumni. That's a lot of money. And then I said, I'm going to get them free membership in a fabulous swimming pool. And their mother too. And the next door neighbor. All 182,000 free. And it's got to be an elaborate pool in order to permit scores of people to come from 7 in the morning to 10 at night. The brown pool, that's their hours. I swam it for 20 years. Anytime you want to swim. Now, when I was a state rep, I used to call out and say, you think I could come late? They said, oh yes, Mr. Rickman. Now they won't even talk to me. Now, why do I tell you that? Because Providence College, Rick, Brown, they're all selfish. The pool isn't open to anybody other There are a whole bunch of technical aspects. I'm just going to talk for 3 minutes, and then we're here to hear from you. A pool is a complex animal. Brown's pool collapsed. I'm saying what happened when it collapsed, but somebody over there said, "You can't say that. You don't know that to be true." Let's say it collapsed. The roof came down. It was deadly. Because the mold comes up all of the time in a pool, even a new one. So you have to have maintenance. Close it for a whole week every year, hopefully in May or April. And if you do that, you do it right, it'll last 75 or 80 years. If you do it like the university, it'll last 70 years and then fall down. This one isn't going to fall down. It's going to have the care and the maintenance that it needs. And then 75 years, we'll have to redo it. Now, in case there aren't a bunch of folks around or leadership, we're going to create an endowment. Before the pool opens, it will have an endowment. And that endowment, 90% of the money will go back into the endowment to build it, and 10% will go into the maintenance fund. Are you with me? So in 75 years, hopefully that endowment will be $20, $30 million. And if it's not, some of these East Side millionaires who never thought they'd swim in a public pool, who've been swimming there for 20 years, will say, "Oh, here's $5 million I'll give to you instead of to the university I didn't name earlier." Because it's going to be theirs. Pools are complex, and the soil studies, the footings, it's really unbelievable. And we know this from the last 10 years. The Providence pools are always a mess, can barely open, are open 6 weeks or less. They're just a disaster. And they do dumb things. On June 1st, they go and inspect and go, "Oh, like, why do you do that in February? And why don't you learn?" So this is going to have a governance system. It's going to have a whole lot of things to make it function as well as the new pool and ground functions, and much better than the old pool and ground function. So I'll give you an example of something. We went to talk to the president of the Senate's policy person, because this will come through the House of Reps and the Senate for funding. And we're talking to about 85 people, private meetings. And the policy director for the state Senate said something fascinating to us, which I had not thought about. He said, when you have this governance, this commission to look at it, to take care of it, to meet 4 or 5 times a year, and to have, and the meetings are going to be public so people can go. He says you need to appoint at least, and then he stopped, you need to appoint one state person. I said, only one? Not one from the Senate, one from the House, one from the governor's office? He said, just one. Because you want a stranger in the room. You probably want to appoint somebody to this commission from Little Compton who doesn't live in Silver Lake or Smithfield or whatever. And the other 5 people or so are probably Providenceans. But a stranger in the room who grows the kid. We've already done. One will have a 2-year appointment, 2 will have a 3-year appointment, 1 will have a 4-year appointment. So there's always someone who's been there for a while, and they could be reappointed one time. So you could serve 8 years. Not longer, because all of a sudden it's yours. This is mine. No, it belongs to the 182,000 of us. You are only the guardian. That's all. So we've got to get a governance system. Now, I told the mayor, this will be owned by the city, we'll give it to the city. The state's going to give it to the city. It will not be governed by the city. Because I've dealt with, and again, I'm not apologizing. I'm 70 years old now, I can say the truth. I've always done it, but I really do it now. The recreation department could not be trusted with this. They're better than they've been in 30 years, but not to the level they could be trusted. And public works, no. If you can't govern two little pools well, how are you going to govern the spectacular gift to the people of Providence? How are you going to do it? Also, I believe this, almost nothing works well when you give it to someone who already has a job. You see it all the time. We're going to do this new thing and you do it. Well, first, you don't know anything about the new thing, and two, you're busy. And three, it's not what you do. So it's to have its own governance, it is to have its own athletics director, its own maintenance director, its own general manager, and it's to have a review board. Separate from governance. Citizens can come and review all the time. I've been in government on the congressional level, state level, and two city levels. And government doesn't work well. We'd be here all night if we touch it why. But it doesn't. And there are exceptions to the rule. The Detroit, and this is my second to last comment, Detroit Institute of Arts, the museum in Detroit, works very well. The building belongs to the city. There is a commission that runs it. The Ford family ran it for 80 years. And that was their thing. All right? And if it was ever short of money, Eleanor Ford said, oh, yeah, here's $3 million. Now, we may not have that. But we're going to have someone in charge that's theirs. Responsibility. Their responsibility. So, let me say this last thing, and then Benjamin and I are going to take notice. We want to hear from everybody what you want, what you don't want. What I outlined to you today are my thoughts. I've got a whole bunch I didn't share with you. Nothing is in stone. And it's not in stone because we're thinking about a commission made up of Providencians, and we go and talk to the president of the Senate's staff person, and he gives us probably a brilliant idea. Now we have to hope the city council will work this out and agree to it. But they probably have no choice. If someone's giving you $16 million, they generally have something to say. And so if the president wants them, probably don't get it. But I can take it. And I remind myself all the time, a very young person put this thought in my mind. Where am I going to swim? And it's not at the YMCA on a membership basis that we have to pay for 40 years. A young person did that, not a 40-year-old mother. Out of the mouths of babes sometimes come incredible things. Now I want to wed you to this project, the way I got wedded to swim empowerment. I told Rob we have to do it, so I'm going to tell you this very sad story. Are you ready? And I want every single person to say, before you go, I'm going to help. And to give Benjamin and Alexander your name and email. And our goal is to have 2,000 people 2 years from now helping. And the help to that a state rep, senator, and councilperson. That's just 3 quarters. Stages of Freedom is working on building a limited plus pool, councilman, councilwoman, council president. We need your support. They have to okay it. The mayor will send it to the legislature, but they have to okay it. The mayor's on board. So, at 9 o'clock at night, almost 30 years ago, I didn't know I was this old, the telephone rang, the old phone, pink phone. I brought it from Detroit, belonged to my mother. She gave it to me. My mother gave me a French hat and her kitchen phone when I left Detroit. Take care of this. And we have the phone hanging up on the wall. The hat's long lost. But anyway, I came at 9 o'clock, the phone rang. And a woman said, "Are you State Rep Ray Rickman?" And I said, "Yes." It's 9 o'clock, I go to bed at 9:02. You caught me just in time. And if anyone's having trouble hearing, you come on up. They're willing to share. So, I'm kind of joking with her. You caught me just in time. I never told anybody, call me back tomorrow. I never did that. And she burst out crying on the phone. "My son drowned at Lincoln Woods this afternoon, and I'm Islamic, and they will not release his body." And she cited the state law I never heard of. You die on state property, there is an autopsy. And she got ready to tell me why she needed her son's body, and I interrupted her. The year before, I'd studied Islam. Now, I've studied Judaism all my life. That's my thing. I just, born again, I'd probably be Jewish, but who knows? But, so I'm studying Islam because I know nothing. And I interrupt her, and I said, "Quick to the grave. I'll see what I can do." And I took her number. And I called the coroner. And he said, "Don't call me this time of night. This business?" I said, "Yes." And he hung up on me without me really saying what I want. The next morning, 8:31, I call his office. And I tell him what I want, and I need him to release the body. And he says, "I'm not doing it. State law, blah, blah, blah." He had told her what the law was. And "I'm not doing it until there's an autopsy." I said, "Can you do that this morning? If you must." Now, again, in Islam, you're not supposed to do that either. But going to the grave is more important than not having that done. And he says, "Good. I've got 3 bodies ahead of this kid. Probably be 2 days." I said, he said, "I've got to go. I want to be respectful since it's office hours and not hang up on you." And down the phone went, and I called the director of health, who I knew, and he called the coroner and told the coroner to release the body, and the coroner said okay to him. And I called him back in 20 minutes, and he said he changed his mind, and I'm the coroner, and my boss can't make me do it. So now I'm beside myself. And I called the director of health back, and he says, "I don't know what to do." I said, "I do." I tell her to have the funeral director come, be in the back of the coroner's building, and the young man's body will be ready to happen. And over I go to see Bruce Sunderland, governor of Rhode Island. Judaism, Islam, quick to the grave. And Bruce Sunderland said, picked up the phone, called the coroner, said, if any of you knew Bruce Sunderland, "This is Bruce Sunderland!" And I was surprised he didn't say Governor Bruce Sunderland, because he loved being governor. And he told the coroner, "Mr. Rickman will be back in 20 minutes, and the young man's body is to be in the hearse. Well, you're no longer corner of Rhode Island. The young man said, I'm not qualified. He says, you're qualified if I say so. And the young man said, okay. And the governor said, you may get a call back in 10 minutes. And the young man's body was released. On the tarmac out back, I promised the mother I would do something about drownings. I knew about it. And you know how you have 10 things you're doing, and you don't do anything about that. And I promised you. And I didn't do anything. I was busy. Running from doctor to doctor, helping African doctors, and I tell you all the things I was doing for the West End Community Center. I didn't do that. And then one day, I'm watching television, Scott Kelly, my favorite newsman, comes on. And 1 minute into the evening, he starts crying and reports in Baton Rouge, a 5-year-old fell in the water, and his two cousins and 2 brothers jumped in to save him. One of the black kids could swim, and 4 of them drowned. And the 5-year-old was saved by the lifeguard who was off duty, who heard all the screaming, drove into the water, jumped in, and of the 5, saved the 5-year-old. And I put my head down, the tears came, and I said, you made a promise, Ray, keep it. 2,500 plus kids later, keeping our word. Now the whole world would change if everybody did that. And you don't have to do what we do. This is work. You only are asked this evening to make 3 phone calls. Stages of Freedom is starting the process of building an Olympic swimming pool. I want you to support it. You don't even have to call us. I'm going to give you a business card. You don't have to call us unless they say no. And then you call us and tell us what they said. Because we have to fix what their problem is. Now I'm going to stop. I want to thank you for coming to this space this evening. I wish we were fixing the public schools. We're not. We're giving the whole population something to love and to take advantage of. Now, I won't get a chance to say this because I don't know what the questions are going to be. One of the most fanciful things in the world, is to go Laurel Mead, a housing complex mainly for rich people, and watch the 85-year-old women swimming, floating. It's a gift from God. They've given up tennis. They've given up golf. They've given up walking in many instances. But you can swim and you can do nothing else. And one day, I don't know where I'll be, but some of our 5 and 10-year-old kids will be 80,